What's going on, guys? Welcome to another live stream session with your boy Phrankleen. If you're watching this as a playback, thank you for stopping by. If this is your first time, thank you for stopping by. Welcome to Say It Like It Is, right? Okay, let's go, brothers and sisters. Let me try to, if you can hear me, you can see me, hit the like button. All right. Apologies, keeping you waiting for a bit. We have a late one today. Somebody said watching live from Hamburg in Germany. Ruth, thank you. Nice to have you here. Hamburg. How is Germany, man? What's it like? I've never been to Germany. Hopefully someday in the not so distant future, might be able to visit Germany. Hey, what's up, Gail? What's going on, everybody? Smash that like button. Welcome to story time. All right. So this is your first time and you're watching these as a playback. Story time, as I normally say, is basically a segment which is pretty eclectic. We talk about topics that resonate with us here, and hopefully we can learn one or two things. People normally send me their stories to foodchannel1960@gmail.com. If you want to take note of that email address, and you're watching this on YouTube at the moment, look in the description, video description below. You find my email address. If you have a trending topic, anything you'd like me to comment on or reaction, you'd like a reaction video from me, you can send me your clips. Follow me on Instagram at Phrankleen, just the way my channel is spelt, and on Twitter at Phrankleen. All right. So yeah. So anyway, this is an interesting one. These one, you can hear me, you can see me. Smash the like button. David Oshilaja, what's up, brother? So anyway, this one, right, came from a brother. As the title says, a 42-year-old. He's currently here in the UK. He relocated with a wife and kids. All right. And appears to be trapped in the system. So I'll give you a bit of a background to the brother's story. Okay. So basically, this brother from back home in Nigeria, when he was he's currently 42. When he was in his, I think, late 20s through his 30s, he had tried to come to the UK, as many people do try to travel abroad. He didn't, get lucky at the time. But eventually, as life carried on, he met with his current partner. They got married, they had kids and stuff. And I must say, his wife is actually is actually what do you call it? A medical doctor. Okay. So they got married, and over time they had two lovely children. Now, as the years went by, now give you the brother's background. His background is the fact that just give me a second, man. The brother's background is the fact that he said over the years, given governmental factors and environmental factors, there is a slang back in Nigeria which I would like to embed into the stream. It's called Jaman Jaman. You might, if you're watching this, you're not Nigerian or an African American or something. You might be wondering, what does that mean? It's like a hustler, right? It's like a slang that you call a hustler, striving, trying to make ends meet and stuff. So basically, this is the reality for a lot of people. And what does that mean? Doesn't necessarily mean they are bums. Now, due to unreliable, governmental, structures and stuff, whereby high rate of unemployment and things like that. So you'd find cases whereby they might have gone to university, high institution and stuff like that. They're unable to get white collar jobs and jobs in line with what they've studied. So as they grow older, as they immerse themselves into the wider society, they're unable to get jobs. So most of the time people turn to whatever it is they can get their hands on to survive. And that ranges from, okay, somebody's trying to sell a parcel of land, they're looking for a buyer. So I might be the guy like, oh, okay, you've got that land for sale. I will run from A to B, from B to C, from C to D, find a potential buyer, marry the buyer, with the seller. And if the sale goes through, I get a cut, as the middleman, and I can hopefully, depending on the size and the value of the parcel of land, my commission might be, a meaningful amount of money to be able to pay my bills and leave off maybe for the next couple of months and stuff like that, depending on the level of my responsibilities and outgoings, right? So it's not exactly bad, okay? It's a means of survival. And there are people, depending on who you are, your network, and what you're dabbling into. Some people, it might be a case of you got friends abroad, somebody has cars to ship home, or they're trying to build, hey man, can you help me sell this 4x4 Toyota Highlander? You help me sell it, you get X amount of percentage and stuff like that. So you get a cut from the agreed amount. You might be able to sell it more than the agreed amount. You get extra cut, you put money in your pocket. Now, what tends to happen is, whilst all of these jammer, this hustling is quite lucrative, right? Sometimes the reality is you might be able to sell a parcel of land today and get X amount of money that you're able to spend if you're a family man, like to pay your bills and cater for your family. And then things might just go bloody quiet for the next 2, 3, 4 months before you get something else, So it's pretty challenging because sometimes the income is not promised. So it's always a case of, oh, there's somebody over there that has a roofing job to do. They need somebody to supply a bunch of planks or handle the roofing projects. And if you're able to tap into that, you might be able to get it cut. So anyways, this brother has been doing this for quite some time, okay? He's like that kind of multi-purpose type of guy. So, and I have a ton of respect for men that do that because you have to survive. And as long as money is coming in, you're not dabbling into any legalities and stuff. So the long and short was, he met his darling wife, who is a medical doctor. All right. Now, so as they got married, professed their love for each other and stuff, the conversation around let's relocate abroad started coming up and all that, all in the name of, oh, we will better our lives, give better future. It's the same, very common amongst us as a people, right? Now, it's prevalent in our community back home. It's a harsh reality. A bunch of Nigerian doctors, a lot of them, you find people tripping out to places like Canada, here in the UK, or some are even in the US. Reason being that most of them are poorly paid, they're not appreciated, and it's human nature that people would try to get out and escape from maybe what they regard as ill treatment, poor remuneration, and stuff like that, and go to places like Canada, and which is like a Western brain drain, as I talk about. But that's the fact, that's the truth. Now, this brother and his wife started looking at options. So he, as the story goes, has not an academic that much. He has a bit of a background, but not as much as the wife, who's a trained doctor, evidently. So he was, as the arrangement panned out, it was a case that he himself and the children were going to piggyback, on the wife, and the wife would be the one to front the work visa application to go to the West, and they can then all come in as a family. It's a brilliant idea, right? So eventually, wife made an application to the UK, and on the grounds of being a medical doctor, it turned out successful. Okay, inclusive in the application was a husband, this gentleman that emailed me, and their children. Okay, so they all came in as a unit. Now, immersing themselves into the Western system, they got in as you'd appreciate, wife's a doctor, got here, settled with the NHS, started working and all that stuff. Now, reality soon set in for the brother. Now, and again, like I said, which is what I put in the title about cultural shock. Now, the way life is, a lot of things you can get away with, a lot of things in terms of how you're used to your daily life, back home in maybe Nigeria or any other parts of Africa, is totally different from life in the West. So when they my villagers are trying to tamper with my throat. Sorry. I'm joking. So they got here. From the story, they stayed with a relative who was gracious enough to house them for a bit, and then eventually they moved on. Now, they moved on. Now, as they settled into the system, wife started working, they're making money and all that. Now, this brother, bear in mind, he has limited, educational background. He's not an academic and stuff like that. Now, reality soon set in that he's unable to, then he was unable to navigate the system, effectively embed himself in. This is a 42-year-old man. It's a fully grown man. He's used to his Nigerian ways. He has come to a totally different environment. There's a massive cultural shock. And in your environment, in the jurisdiction you're used to back home, I say, you're used to the processes. It's your local environment. It's where you grew up. It's a place like like your pounds. Now you're 42, man. You are on a lap. You're already 2 years into the lap, heading towards 50, And then the wife is working, gotten into the healthcare system. Now, his ego took a major blow. Why? You're going to be exposed in this system because, first of all, if you're talking about 9-to-5 job, okay, there is a huge amount of, this is not someone who's come here with a major type of, the last job that I had was with this particular company back home in maybe the financial sector, or I used to work in this sector, this. I used to work in oil and gas doing this and this that were, verifiable. You had like a fresh set of skills. No, this is a guy who is a hustler, right? Now, sorry, give me a second, man. So now he got here. I'm just kind of keeping my eye on the comments and just looking out for the trolls in case I need to block anyone. So anyway, they got here and then he started being challenging. Now, the wife is getting a paycheck and there's a bit of pressure on this guy now to get out and, of course, reality sets in. They were staying with a relative and then it got to a point where they had to jump ship and go get their own spot, their own apartment and all that. And welcome to the West. Bills, your rent, your council tax, your, the usual stuff, your gas and electric, your water rate, and the list goes on, right? So the brother, just give me a second, man. Just give me a second. Somebody said, Phrankleen, why do most Africans complain about cultural shock when us Pakistani immigrants? Bruv, man, I'm going to block you from my channel, man. Don't bring that nonsense here, okay? I don't want you here if you're Pakistani, and don't come and talk nonsense to black people. I've blocked you from my platform. That's not what we are about here, okay? You're not better than blacks because you're Pakistani. You can jog on, my friend, okay? And this platform is not even aimed at Pakistani. Stop that nonsense, okay? We are black and proud over here. The premise of this lovely platform is to educate ourselves. We can learn one or two things. There's so many filth in the Pakistani community too. All right, don't get me started. Anyway, as I was saying before the break in transmission, um, um, so the brother struggling, there isn't much of that educational background and stuff, and then the issue started with the missus at home. It's, I suppose it's human nature. Wife is able to embed into the system. She has a, a rewarding career. She's a medical doctor now, and he's unable to effectively navigate through the system. This is somebody who, he has never had a white collar job back home. He's just somebody who navigates through the system, do whatever he can to survive, to pull money in. You understand me? So, anyways, um, so the brother right now having a major clash with the missus because he's unable to. He said he got a job somewhere, and he's working as a caregiver, a carer. That's what he had to settle for. And I think it's distorted him sort of mentally because he has to work as a carer. For the purposes of this stream, a caregiver is someone who works in a care home, looks after elderly people at the end of their lives. And you understand what that entails. There are people that do it, that support their families, effectively, and they're wonderful people. You understand me? So, but of course, if you could do better, you would definitely would like to advance, away from that. So, and I know there are people who might be currently doing such, and they have their exit plan in terms of advancing, in terms of career and things like that. So he's had a major clash because now the wife's paycheck, she's coming in, a doctor, so he's basically disorganized mentally because he said to me that, Phrankleen, I feel disconnected from this society. I'm struggling mentally. Thank you, Alonga Baby, for the super chat. I regret coming here, he said. And do you know what, man? Um, it's what's going on in there, man? Oh, okay. Sorry, forgive me if I'm stopping. I'm just I'm out guns blazing for the trolls, man. If I find the trolls, please, the moderators, I know Alonga Baby is there. Please, if you find any trolls, please do me a favor, and everyone else watching, block them without any second chance. Okay, just block them. I don't. There's no. This platform, it's got zero tolerance for trolls. All right. Thank you very much. So as I was saying, the brother is frustrated. It's quite a long-winded email. He's been here in the system, and he's saying to me, Phrankleen, I have major regrets. He's kind of trapped. He feels trapped here in the UK. He believes that his wife has taken over, the home. He feels like less of a man. He cannot blend into the society properly. He's not much of an academic. He can't start retraining and stuff like that. So I suppose his interpretation of what life would be in the West is totally different from the reality that he's faced with now. And this happens all the time. So he was actually the driving force behind asking his wife to apply as a doctor, so we can all go in because of the children as a family, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. They are here now, and then he's trapped. So what do we do, and how do you address this? So this is how I see it. This is how I see it. Like I said, rule number one, it's a prevalent problem where people have a total misconception of life abroad. It might be just simply because they live outside the confines of the West, or they've had friends and some families who have sold them some lies, or they have some travel agents who have lied to them, or they can't, you know what I mean? So they get here, and then they soon realize that, hey, yo, it's pretty hard to advance. How do I then navigate? Or it reminds me of another older gentleman who came here also in his late 40s, And then because of his background back home, and you know what's funny? That man, he was selling dried crayfish in bulk. He will buy it from a part of Nigeria and supply it across the nation. And I don't know who told him what. This one too was on the edge of 50. He came here and he had to go get a job as a security guard. And he's in his 50s now. And he's working as a security guard because the reality is there isn't much of an educational background for him. And then they came here and they they soon realized that they can't really blend. Somebody said something. Before I carry on, somebody said you don't need, let me pin that. You don't need to be educationally smart to have an entrepreneurial or business sense. You know what? That's a good point. But let me tell you something. Not everybody is entrepreneurial. Thank you for the super chat, Adi Tola. Not everyone is entrepreneurial. Not everyone can sell. That's a fact. There are some people, even if you take them to a point where you say, hey man, you can get this for £1. You can take it to that market and sell it for £6 and you make £5. They will still blow it apart because they're not cut out for it. You understand me? Now, let me also address that there are persons within our community that they've come abroad. They are not book smart. They have limited or zero education, right? And they manage to find a spot within, say, the Black community. What do I mean? I mean, that's also very common, right? Whereby people like that, for example, if you look at the Nigerian community or the Black community here in the UK, your local restaurant that sells you the jollof rice, your white rice and the ayamashi stew, the meat pies, the puff puff, the pounded yam. There are some of those aunties that work in the kitchens that cook those delicious meals. Some of them, they're not book smart. They're unable to go get white collar jobs, right? So, but they find a spot. Let me tell you, they hold a major part in the wider context of things. Now, some of them are then smart enough, they might amalgamate their brains with maybe their husbands or their partners or someone else, and they can then set up a restaurant. And, back in the days before the pandemic came to hijack everything, a lot of these people, when we used to have parties virtually every weekend, there were people that came abroad. Some of them couldn't even speak English properly or write properly. Again, because somebody is not proficient in English doesn't exactly suggest they're stupid. It might be because of poor educational background. Okay, we get that. But they're smart enough. Some of them are probably like tailors. Some of them have, thank you, Jeremy Woods, brother. Thank you for the super chat. Some of them came here with skill sets like they are tailors. They can sew women's clothing, men's clothing. Some of them are handymen. Some of them know how to fix cars from back home, and they come here and then they just set up a side street shop where they're sewing clothing and mending clothing, and they have these skills whereby they can use that within our community and they can make a lot of bread for themselves. So that's possible. But there are also people that don't have those skills that would come here. They are not exactly entrepreneurial. Not everyone is entrepreneurial. Not everyone is able to cook ayamashi stew or jollof rice or make, tongue wagging meat pie and be able to monetize it. Not everyone is able to do that. Now, for example, someone back home who used to sell, there's a friend who has shipped 2 cars from the UK or the US and say, hey man, help me to find a buyer. Boom, 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 boom. He sells a car, he gets a quick $500-600 in terms of conversion into his pocket. He sells 2 cars, he gets about $1,200 or $1,500. He sells a parcel of land, he gets money. And he finds a buyer for that house, he gets money, right? He gets to the UK. The ability to sell a parcel of land has gone through the window because UK is wired differently. There is nobody selling 2 acres of land down the road or 1 plot of land The way the housing system works here, there is nobody, selling properties that needs you as a middleman. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying, right? So these that change of environment can absolutely change, the dynamics of how you used to live your life, how you used to get your daily bread, and all that stuff. Let me see. I came late, bro, but from the little I just heard, you may need a site right away. So they can join the ant workers, do security work, care support, bus driver, delivery person, and all that. Book smart people sometimes are not entrepreneur. They can create nothing. Just getting a job is all they know. Of course, Becky, you are right. He can still do that here. Samuel Leeds is teaching these guys. Come on. Look, man, listen. Somebody's saying, look, you know what's funny, yeah? Let me tell you, we are wired differently. And I appreciate some of your suggestions. But let me tell you, man, you see, I don't know who you are, and I'm talking hypothetically. You see, some people, if you're already suppressed, you're immersed in a bit of illiteracy, or you're limited to some regard. Marilyn, thank you for the super chat. Right? If you're already limited and you've spent the best part of your life living like that, it's not as easy as you're suggesting. They're just going to show up in the UK, ta-da. And there are some people, they've lived their lives into their 40s as we speak. They can't use Microsoft Excel, even at the basic level. What Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, they haven't got those skills. Even people that have lived 10 years in the UK, we have a lot of our Nigerian uncles, Cameroonian, Zimbabwean uncles and aunties, Tanzanian brothers and sisters who have limited computer skills. Because why? Some of them might be due to environmental or family factors, but some of them, because of where they're coming from, because of how they came up, they never had to bother with learning to use Microsoft Excel. They get here, everything just becomes a collusion in their head. Everything becomes absolutely confusing and flummoxing for them. They don't even know where to start from, because this is why I always say, you don't even know that the power behind the ability to read and write English language, that in itself is a major barrier, right? That's been broken down. If you can write proficiently, you can communicate effectively, because what that does for you is, okay, she didn't decide that, okay, let me go and learn how to use Excel and Word and pick up some basic computer skills and sharpen myself up. When you go into that class, whether online or physically, if they are teaching you any new sets of skill, it's easy for you to soak up the skills and read, because you have a rudimentary understanding of that language. You can write. But if you have a limited understanding, somebody said, Phrankleen, I'm interested in how this man met his doctor wife back home in the country. Yo, let me tell you, man. Let me tell you, my man, you'll be surprised. I know, I can understand why you would say you're wondering how this man met his doctor wife. There are so I'm going to go back to the story. I'm just having a chat. I like to have a bite of everything and then I crack on. There are so many ways, man. You see, in a very religious country like Nigeria, right? There's so many ways to have met a doctor. Somebody might be a doctor. God knows, maybe she was running late in a society where there's so much pressure on women's shoulders. It might be a clockwork. She was getting maybe a bit older in terms of, oh, you should be married. They look at him, because of the societal factors. Okay, sometimes, and I'm saying this, what you and I would view as average or basic here in the West, back home is good enough based on scriptural backings and religious backings and imposition of your families and people around you. Some people, their parents are the ones that influence their decisions when it comes to picking partners, because your mom is a pastor, Mrs. in church. She basically is in the women's fellowship with this guy's mom. Oh, they know him. They know his family. He's a good guy. You better pick him, settle with him. The Bible says, for the blah, blah, blah shall happen. For this, it's okay. Settle, walk with him, build with him. And in the name of all my friends are settling, some people, yeah, it's okay, it's all right. That doctor lady might have just, and sometimes it's just love, whatever. I'm just talking hypothetically, man. You understand? So there's so many people, you'd be surprised. You know, some people, and also in the same society, some people, I've seen situations where people meet people, they're just dating. And then just because she's pregnant, the parents of the lady, the family, they see it as shameful that she's had premarital sex and she's pregnant now. Then they impose that you've got to get married, and then she's forced into the marriage. And then they quicken things. The guy's family to say, okay, yeah, cool. Everything is imposed so that, oh, they would want you to have the baby within the confines of the said marriage. These are the templates that the society is forced down our lungs as we come up in life. And then she picks the guy, and then they forge on with life. Do you understand? This is just random examples. Doesn't necessarily mean. So I really don't know how they met. Most people think English proficiency is a skill. It won't give you a job unless you have a skill or competency. No, Festus, English proficiency is actually a skill. If we look at it, it's actually a skill, because if let me tell you why it's a skill. If you work as a project support officer, let's say in a project environment in an office, yeah, I will tell you why English, your ability to speak and write, is a skill on its own. So if you're a project support officer, you work in a project environment, and you have to take minutes of the project meetings. You have to sometimes dip into the business case. You have to generate weekly and fortnightly reports for the maybe program directors or the project managers and stuff like that. If you don't have good writing skills, you're not going to be able to generate reports. You're not going to be able to work effectively with a wider project team. It's a skill. There are some people, because maybe they're born and bred here, they're white or whatever, they can speak. When it comes to writing, and writing is not just writing. When it comes to writing formal professional documents, it's a skill in itself. The way I will write an email to you as my friend, hey, what's going on, bro? This is, let's grab coffee tomorrow, is different from the way I'm going to write a project document in a formal environment. So writing and speaking is a skill in itself. But of course, what I would say is English language, it's a language, okay? Just like you can be proficient in Yoruba language. But what I'm saying is, because somebody doesn't understand a particular language does not make them less of who they are. But if you want to, because whether we like it or not, English language is a global language. I'm speaking it now, right? So in order for you to be able to navigate through a society like this that you chose to embed yourself in, you should be proficient in that language so that you can move easy, if that makes sense. It's a skill, believe me. If you go get certain jobs whereby your tenses are poor, and let me tell you, in social gatherings, if just gathering, people are talking, and then they're articulating themselves, they're just talking in a group and all that stuff. And hello, Mike. Do you remember what happened to that project? The risk and issue log, and so I forgetted what I have finished the document. I have entered it inside of the wow. You see how that sounds? I have forgotten. Oh wow! Do you see how that sounds? You'd be like, what? What? Sorry, I beg your pardon. What? Exactly. So you got bad grammar. I remember years ago when I used to work for the NHS, and there's a guy. He was a Cameroonian brother. He claimed to be a business analyst at the time, and the guy was working on the business case. Fam, as a business analyst, the business case document was his playground. And this guy had to generate a report for the project directors. My goodness. Office. The whole boardroom was upside down. It was embarrassing. And of course, those directors, you know what they did? Because then we would have once in a month, end of the month, we would have director meetings. Yeah. They milked it. They wanted to expose him, to show him as a charlatan, as incompetent. Of course, I felt it was malicious. At the time, I was a junior. I was sat at the end of the room, and I felt like disappearing under the desk. I remember the director kept saying, his name was John at the time. He was like, "Oh, tell me more. Oh, is that right? Interesting." And they were looking at themselves. The guy could not read properly. He wrote jargons. He's one of those people that blank through their jobs. Eventually, he got fired. Now, let me now say this. You know, like from back home, ain't nobody, you know, you can navigate through your country, Nigeria, your local environment, even with a broken English. A guy, Alpha now. I would sell that land now. And my commission is 7% now. I don't need to be proficient on the streets. So that's not to suggest that there are not educated people in Nigeria. There are tons, millions of educated people. But what I'm saying is, if I have limited education, I'm in my motherland. Guy, how far now? How the land be? Hey, maybe we share the money now. Oh yeah. Like I bet you now. A man on left for me now. You know, I'm talking with slangs. Man on left for me. Man on left is give me my court. You get me? I'm a shami niki now. Uncle, hey, guy don't dare now. Maybe we sell the get my when one buy the car don't dare now. I can talk with pigeon and still get my daily bread. But when you get to a much more formal environment, oh, the master we call man on left. You can't say man on left in a corporate environment if that makes sense. Exactly. So, anyways, the brother in that I'm talking about. So right now, he's stuck. So he feels entrapped, and he's struggling because I can see, because I asked him. I actually did one thing. I asked him about his background, and you know, apart from his O levels from high school, doesn't really have much. He talked about his background when his father died. You know, I empathize with him. Life happens to people. You know, his mother didn't have enough money. It was 5 of them. He lost his younger sister. You know, mother did what she could. He lived with his uncles that promised to educate him. That's life. And he didn't get much education, so he pushed through life. Met this woman. Now, the truth is, the cultural shock and the change of environment has indeed exposed the disparity between him and the wife. So now the question is, because I don't want to tell this story like, oh, the wife has done something wrong. No, he's exposed. The disparity, the difference is now exposed because of the change of environment. So how will he survive in this environment? That's the question. Because I told him, I said, bro, it's either you crack on with a care job, because he's not loving the care job. Because care job, on my for you know, you know what the care job entails, you know. On my for man, well, damn, man. Do you know what I mean? So the job is, you know, it's quite challenging, and he was taken aback. It's like, you know, everybody's yapping away. This country, you have to, and there are bills. And then there was the issue of, oh, you're a man, you have to, you know, so láti gba wá sí láti máa cater fún fúrọ̀ and all that. So how do you do it? That in itself, man. Man, you fall for you one fall from me, no tutu, you know, it's something else, man. So somebody said there is Amazon. Before you can even start talking about Amazon, he needs to pass driving test and get a full driver's license. Think in that direction. And to even get your full driver's license, there's this theoretical part of things. You see, that's where, and that's why some people in our community don't have driver's license. Because why? When it comes to the computer-based side of things, they struggle. Because if you don't have a good grasp of the same English language, to be able to understand and pick the right things, interpret what they're telling you on the screen, to pass the theoretical part and advance to the practical side of the driver's license, it becomes impossible for you to get a full UK driver's license. I personally know persons very close to me within my own family structure who they are in their late 50s, early 60s as we speak. They've lived here for 22 years and they don't have a full license. Not because the system stops them from having a full license, it's because of illiteracy. They are not computer proficient and they can't read to save their lives. And they are religious nut jobs. It is well. So it's hard, man. Like I was saying earlier, hopefully life, goes back to normal. Back in the days, like I was saying earlier, before the pandemic came in and shut everything down, I was talking about our society where people had the ability. There were so many things whereby you could cater to the audience within the wider Black community. There were people that cook and they do catering. They make money off catering. There are people that they do cargo jobs and shipping jobs. You can make money. In fact, there is ongoing daily requirement of cargo goods, right? There are people that when you go to parties, there are people that change pounds to dollars and get their commission. There are people that play drums for the guy that's singing at the parties. There are people that they haul decorators. There's a guy at the back of the room that does photography. There are multiple things. There are the tailors that are constantly sewing the native clothings that the men and women wear to their parties 24/7 and are making good money. I think for a man's overall wear here in the UK, my favorite complete is about £100 or more. But the lockdown, the pandemic has absolutely shattered a lot of those things because all the halls are shut down. People are socially, the social distancing. And so a lot of those avenue to get good monies and stuff have been utterly shut down. So it's hard. The only thing I'm trying to bang on about is hopefully somebody learned from this. You know what's funny about life? Somebody might be watching this, or you might know a friend or a family. Wherever you are right now, you might have something that's going good for you, that's breaking you bread. Because I personally know childhood friends, who are back home, and there's a guy. He's into real estate, helps people sell properties. Fam, this guy is doggone crazy about wanting to go abroad. And I look at him and laugh. You see, back home, as I speak to you, as I'm sat in front of this camera, he's building his second property. He's doing well for himself, even far better than a lot of people that live abroad. But he is pig-headed about going abroad. And I know, Padimini, we grew up together. He has limited education because I don't know, he went off tangent when we were growing and stuff regarding his education. But in terms of achievement, he's done well for himself. I know that if that guy were to abandon his streams of income back home and were to blindly come over here, oh my God, but back home, he's got people old enough to be my father on his payroll. He's got a lot of people dependent on him to survive. He's got multiple streams of income. Phrankleen, the brother does not want to adapt. He will keep suffering and making everyone's life miserable. You know what, man? You may be right about the brother does not want to adapt. Let me tell you, man. I'm trying to be fair. We can say he doesn't want to adapt. And we can also say adaptation is not as easy as you think it is. I'm not saying it's totally impossible to learn a skill or find something else to do. I'm not saying that. But you see, it's like this. Check this out. Check this out. You know, like with this lockdown, I'm trying to make a point. Check this out. Now, the lockdown basically destroyed the dynamics of people's everyday lives, destroyed a lot of jobs, right? Wiped out a lot of employments. And I'm sure you know this, yeah? Do you know that if a 22-year-old or a 25-year-old were to be made unemployed today, it's very easy for a 22 or 25-year-old or whatever to still get back on their legs and find another job, bang, bang, easy. Jump back into a role if they find another one. If a 55-year-old or 50-year-old were cleared out of a role, just like they did the 25-year-old, it's bloody hard. There's also the issue of ageism, whereby prospective employers will just look at your date of birth and it's a cross across your face. That's an additional factor. So there are persons that have sat in a corner. They've mastered that corner, and that's where they just get their money month after month. That's what they know how to do. And then there is a societal change that basically erodes that job and knocks them off their feet, right? To then make transition into another environment where they have to learn a brand new skill, it's very hard, especially if there is a sense of illiteracy involved. Now, that's not to say, someone shouldn't make an effort. It's hard, man. It's psychological battle. And do you know what's funny? Okay, you're here now, yeah? You're trying to even to get an administrative job. It's easier for me. I already know how to use computer. I already know how to use all these tools and all these things, yeah? It's already hard enough being black. So, but I can get behind the computer at the very least. I'm looking for an administrative role, right? I can apply, then call me tomorrow. And I can go in there and fight tooth and nail through that job interview. If I get the job, I can hit the ground running and start working. Okay, Phrankleen, can I get you to use the PowerPoint to do X, Y, Z? Move the data, create a pivot table, yada, 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 get this data from here to there. I can do them because I know how to. But for someone who's an illiterate, they have to start. And there's so many layers that they have to break through, man. It's not easy. Illiteracy, that's why you see, if you spend years with limited education and you've already immersed yourself in that way of life, it's very hard, man. What's better, to be educated, get a good job, or to be blood smart? He needs to stop competing with him, wife, and just provide. Well, I don't think he's competing with his wife, or perhaps he is. You may be right, but I think he is destabilized mentally. And the environment back home, this is why I talk about cultural shock. The way the Nigerian system, because I can use Nigeria as an example, it's very easy for you to just spread your balls, because sometimes, for example, rent is annually, right? You can spread your balls easy for what? The next 2-3 months, I'm over so man. Yo, I'm broke, man. Baby, whatever you can get these days here in the West, the bills are looking at you like this every month. Dude, don't let me catch your balls on that sofa, man. Your bills is literally in the corner of the living room looking at you like this, because the bills are there inevitably on a monthly basis. So you got to keep it going. Oh, you don't need to be an academic to be a business owner in the UK. I know so many business owners in Oxford Circus started with book selling in Trafalgar Square. Fair point. It's an excuse for folks who didn't get to. You don't need to start university to be useful in society. Dude, there are folks from here. There are folks here with no, we know, man. There are folks here with no GCSE, of course. But let me tell you this. Another thing why it's always challenging for some people in our community, in the Black community, is for the most part, there isn't a support network. You understand me? We are too busy flexing on ourselves. If you look in the Pakistani society, the least educated in the Asian community, who's coming straight from Pakistan, dude doesn't even understand English. His brothers already have a high street, couple of high street shops where they're selling tomatoes, pepper, your okra, meat, fish, right? Because, yo, put your head in that corner. Dude embeds himself in there. They start to teach him. He starts to learn who is the guy that supplies the meat, that supplies the fish, that supplies the meat, that supplies the palm oil, and all that, right? The guy might serve under them, and then they have a different pathway. 3, 4 years down the line, they might be able to flesh him out of the business, and he goes somewhere else and goes set up a similar business, and he has his own business. That's how they dominate. But in our case, if you come here, you are on your own. You understand me? So you find a Pakistani guy that works in his brother's local pizza shop delivering pizza, right? In 3 to 4 years, the guy will have his own pizza shop in other parts of the town, employing his other brothers. And that's how they do it. So there are many people like that, man. And if you've come, in fact, right now with the pandemic, whereby virtually everything is shut down, it's hard, bro. You even seen them, Tesco, as managers unable to communicate. Of course, Israel. Why can't we do that as a people? I'm African American, and it's the same thing here in the US. That's what I'm telling you. It's easier to run from your problems than to face them head on. Hispanic community does the same thing. Phrankleen, he has enough support to start with. His wife is there to support him. Somebody said you cannot compare yourself with those in the West with no education. You're not British. I understand with this man that it means to be unemployed. I lost my job in December. I was really let me read this. Let me read this. I understand with the man what it means to be unemployed. I lost my job in December. I was really depressed. Thank goodness I wasn't married yet. I had to aggressively apply for jobs until I got 2 now. Well done, brother. Well done. Power to you, man. So yeah, it's not a joke, man. It's hard. But you know what, man? Let me close on this note. Just maybe do your homework, man. This is why I keep saying, okay? Somebody said, Phrankleen, could we call and make contributions? Not today. Not today. Okay, my next show, I'll provide link for you to call in. All right, I'm gonna wrap up in a moment. Olayemi, okay. See, people believe that. You see, I agree with everyone saying, "Oh, the guy should just get on with it, man." This is life. Welcome to life. Okay, welcome to life, man. Some people are just not wired for life abroad. Can we all agree on that? Some people are not wired for life in the UK. Do you agree with me that you cannot go everywhere and thrive everywhere? I'm a believer in that. You can't. You cannot just go everywhere and thrive everywhere. Find what works for you. Stay in your lane. That's basically my major point. Of course, you just got to find what you can't go everywhere and thrive everywhere. Do you know? Okay, I can tell you now for a fact. Everybody knows this. It's a common knowledge. You don't even need me to tell you. Nigeria has a plethora of challenges. There is the lack of governmental structures. There's the daily failings. There's unemployment. There are persons that are thriving crazily in that country. And before you say, not everybody in Nigeria has somebody within the government that is helping them scoop out public funds, or not everyone has an uncle in a powerful place or an auntie who is a judge enjoying nepotism and friendship, friendly connections and things like that. No, there are people who have actually left diaspora, who have gone to the motherland, regardless of all these scary stories and the evident daily struggles and letdowns, and they are thriving, be it the filming industry, be it that they set up their own businesses, and they are doing well. There are also persons who have never stepped a foot on the plane in the same Nigeria with the evident limitations, and a lot of them are flipping wealthy compared with a lot of us that live in the West. Like I told you about a gentleman, he told me, he watches my channel, he's in his 50s. He said, Phrankleen, I used to buy crayfish, crayfish that they grind. We use it to cook, right? Dried crayfish and a lot of dried food. He'll buy it from the eastern part of Nigeria. He will ship it down to the south. He will supply people. He said, Phrankleen, I was making good money. I asked him, I said, sir, why did you abandon the crayfish business? He said, I've always had it in my mind that abroad money is different money. He told me this on the high street. And guess what? He made a big mistake. He has his regrets now. He's almost 55. He's struggling. He works as a security guard. People are not going to come on YouTube and set up a YouTube channel and say, hey, hello, my name is Mr. Adeshino. I am a security guard. I just want you to know that I'm a failure. I left Nigeria. I lost everything. Yay, this is me. See you later. Subscribe to my channel. Click like at the end of the video. Bye. What I'm effectively telling you is there's a huge amount of people in that circumstance, based on misconception, based on the inability to integrate well with this society. There are people that had well-paid jobs. Yes, you will hear the stories of people, oh yeah, I had a good job. I was doing well in a bank in Nigeria, and then we moved to Canada, and we're doing good. I'm not refuting those claims, but there are people that had well-paid jobs, that had drivers driving them, that were doing well. And they left it, and here they are trapped, carrying baskets in Tesco. Sorry, somebody said, oh, hold on, man. Phrankleen, I disagree with you. People should, let me read that. People should have no regrets in life. What does that even mean, Mr. Femi Odell Photography? What do you mean people should have no regrets? I like, people should have no regrets, huh? If you left a well-paid job, giving you substantive amount of money, you had a degree of comfortability, you were doing good, and you came here and you get trapped in the UK, first of all, maybe issues of paper and you are in the shadow of the system. Then you say people, bro, please, come on, man, Femi, stop. Brother, don't worry, next time I'll bring you on. All right, we have abundance of time to talk, man. The only thing I can say to the brother, keep trying, find something else that you can do. With the pandemic now, I don't know what options are there, but I told him already in the email, apart from the fact that I'm making the video, I said, find something that you can do. Start learning at least computer skills for a start, and then see what opportunity, that brings to you. My name is Phrankleen, and do your homework, man. Do your homework very well before you go abroad, all right? Thank you for watching. Do your homework very, very well, man. And I will definitely, most definitely catch you in the very next one, okay? The very next live stream, I will make sure that people can log in and we can chat, okay? Thank you very much. Let's keep the conversation going on below, and I will definitely, definitely catch you in the very next one. Peace and love.